Hi everyone, my name is Zixuan and welcome to our group presentation. Today we're going to talk about this movie called Tenet. Well, if you have seen this movie, you will know how brain twisting the plot is. But is there any underlying biology we can talk about? Is there something more than physics we see? What will you get if you look at a biological perspective? Well, you're in luck because our group is going to discuss about this mind-bending movie. So, take it away, Wei Sheng.
Nice throwing, Zixuan. So, I'm Wei Sheng. I'll be talking about the synopsis of this movie, Tenet. So, Tenet is about a secret war ongoing between the present and the future. At some point in the future, mankind managed to develop a technology which allowed them to reverse the entropy of humans and also objects by moving them backward in time. So, basically it's like undoing the energy put or work done into the object, so everything is reversed. So the main hero of this story is named the protagonist. That's right, the protagonist. He doesn't have a proper name. He's recruited into a mysterious organization known as Tenet to prevent the onset of war. This war, the villain is trying to destroy the entire timeline of human history by trying to reverse the entropy of the entire world. So in order to stop this from happening, the protagonist has to manipulate the flow of time and make use of this new entropy reversal technology in order to successfully fulfill its mission. So I'm gonna pass it on to Selma next to continue.
Thanks, Wilson. My name is Selma, and today I'm gonna talk about DNA damage. The device that is used to go back in time, the turnstile, is generated by radiation. Without any proper protection, will they survive under the radiation if they use the turnstile too many times? Ionizing radiation directly affects DNA structures by inducing DNA breaks. Ionizing radiations are able to release particles which are capable of breaking covalent bonds in the DNA molecule. These include alpha particles, beta particles, neutrons, and electrons. This causes DNA damage directly, like double-strand breaks. X-ray or gamma rays can cause secondary effects by splitting their water molecules and produce hydroxyl radicals, or known as ROS. These free radicals remove electrons from molecules and lead to single-strand breaks, double-strand breaks, and crosslinks. Now I'm going to talk about DNA repair. Despite the damages, our cells have their own way to repair themselves. The number one way is called non-homologous end joining. The breakage was directly cut or modified, then ligated together regardless of homology. It is easy to generate deletions or insertions. This method is error-prone, but it is the most commonly used repair method for DSBs, because this method can repair the damage quickly without being restricted to a single cell phase, preventing genetic instability. Number 2 is homology-directed repair. More precise than NHEG, but only works when homologous DNA is present. After restriction proteins search for similar DNA sequence to the overhead 3-end, nucleoprotein filaments invade the DNA to provide the temples for repair. And number 3 is nucleotide extension repair. A chunk of nucleotides are removed, then filled in by DNA polymers. That's it for my part. Thank you so much for listening. Now I'm going to pass it on to Joey.
Thank you, Selma. So I'm Joey. Let us continue.
Since DNA damage can be repaired while radiation are still deadly, annually humans can only be exposed to around 3.65 milligray radiation. Cumulative 1 gray will cause a fatal cancer, and exposure to over 50 gray will cause a 100% mortality rate, and a person will die within 48 hours even with treatment. Actually, not all radiation are deadly because we humans also emit and absorb receive radiation from our surrounding, but they are non-ionizing. The radiation that can really cause us harm is the ionizing radiation. So when radiation is received in a large dose within a short time, the radiation had already done harm before we can repair them, even in a low dosage. So accumulated damage can build up. By the time our body realizes, the damage may already cause complications. Since the movie revolves around radiation and plutonium-241 is one of the major components in reversing the whole world, would humans be able to handle the radiation? I think it's highly possible because all plutonium isotopes usually emit alpha particles, which is not that dangerous if it wasn't inhaled or ingested, except for plutonium-241. So with the shortest half-life of 14 years, this substance emits beta particles and some weak gamma rays. Beta particles are high-speed electrons but can be blocked by clothing or a sheet of aluminum. Weak gamma rays can be compared with stronger versions of X-rays of CT scan, which humans also expose to them when necessary. This may not kill you instantly, but it is all about the accumulated damage. So the next is, would they even able to handle the radiation from the turnstile before their major plane? I think it's doubtly, because the plan of reversing the whole world without every human on Earth getting radiation poisoning may be possible, but getting in and out of the turnstile too many times is like getting multiple strong X-ray or CT scans in a short time plus without protection, and this may cause enough damage to cause complications within a few months with accumulated damage. And is the lead case shown in the movie would be sufficient to block out the radiation of plutonium-241? Since the lead has been used in blocking gamma rays and protection suit, the lead briefcase may be sufficient to block the weak gamma rays if it is over 3 cm thick, also the beta particles, but it is not 100% safe.
Yeah, so that's all for my part. Catch that, hold on.
Hi everyone, my name is Sulan and I am from Group C.
In this scene, protagonist is going back in time. So as per our research, the actors are reverted, but not the wall, and they need to wear masks because regular air will not pass through the infected lungs. Furthermore, in this infected wall, because breathing has become infected, then the whole cell processes are becoming infected too. Therefore, here we will focus on metabolism by trying to answer, do they still generate ATP in the reverse wall, or will ungenerated ATP affect their body activities? So for general overview, both aerobic and anaerobic processes produce ATP for energy. This energy can be used for muscle contraction, for example. So in our normal world, the metabolism process ends with ATP generation. However, since the reverse will happen in the inverted world, the metabolism process will start from the end, and we assume that the metabolism will be reversed until it produces glucose and oxygen for products. So our next question is, will ATP still be generated for different body activities? That will be answered in the coming slides.
This is for this part, so I will pass on to Jae-young for the next part.
So before we decide if ATP generation is actually available, if it's actually available in the reverse world, so-called reverse world in the movie, we can first take a look at our ATP cycle that happens in our body. So yes, the figure on the left here is an ATP cycle loop. So the top part over here, this is ATP, and the lower part over here, this is ADP. So if you look towards the arrow from ATP towards ADP, you realize that when a phosphate group is removed from ATP, which is the top one over here, via hydrolysis, the energy stored can be released and ATP is converted into ADP. So meanwhile, ADP on the other hand can then be recycled back to ATP, basically turning back into ATP via phosphorylation to store energy again. Essentially, we can view this ATP cycle as a closed loop with only a phosphate group entering and exiting. So moving on, we talk about the fact versus fiction of the movie. Is it actually possible? So number one, the question is, do the protagonist and everyone that pass through the reverse world, can they actually still generate ATP in the reverse world? So to answer this, we can look at the muscle contractions that are fueled by ATP. So since ATP ADP is basically the transformation between both is a cycle, so what they get is that they get to generate ATP during muscle contraction when they are walking in reverse. So basically, to put it simple, instead of using ATP when a muscle contracts, everyone in the reverse world generates ATP when a muscle contracts. So another question is reverse metabolism actually possible? So we would say that it's probable, okay, highly likely. So what they use okay, so we look at the protagonist alongside people in the reverse world. So what they use during muscle contraction when they are walking in reverse. So basically, to put it simple, instead of using ATP when a muscle contracts, everyone in the reverse world generates ATP when a muscle contracts. So another question is reverse metabolism actually possible? So we would say that it's probable, okay, highly likely. So what they use okay, so we look at the protagonist alongside people in the reverse world. So what they use when they are in the stay at the reverse world is that they are using already generated ATP. So when the ATP is so-called generated from the muscle, the ATP from the previous is then broken down by the muscle and can actually reappear, because it's a closed loop, like an anabolic process. Thank you for listening, everyone. So I'll be passing on to Zishan, the next speaker. Okay, try catching this.
Okay, so that's the end of our presentation. I hope you enjoyed, and if you haven't watched this movie, highly recommend you to watch it. A big thank you from Good 10 and have a nice day. Bye bye.